Well, hey, welcome to the very first episode of Arachnoiditis Unfiltered. And when we say unfiltered, we mean this is going to be the real life that we live. It's not going to be candy coated. It's not going to be sugar coated by any stretch of the imagination. And you may hear the occasional word that you may not agree with, but welcome to our first episode. And honestly, this is the first face-to-face that I've had with my co-host, Sarah Lewis. And Sarah, hey, welcome. And why don't you introduce yourself, give
Thank
a little bit
you.
of background. Yeah.
Okay. So, everybody, my name is Sarah Lewis, and I am here as a patient advocate, but also as a fellow sufferer because I've had arachnoiditis for 16 years. And daily functioning is, it's very difficult. So, my purpose here really is to share insight with you guys that we have collected over the years, as well as just resources. I worked as a nurse for about 15 years before I went on disability. I'm retired or disabled now, so my license is inactive, but I do have, a wealth of information that I would like to share with you and help you guys, bring arachnoiditis to a level that we can all understand, um, and along with Dr. Tennant's recommendations as well. So that's me. Now to you, Steve.
Okay. And where are you located?
Oh, I'm in Oviedo, Florida. So
Oviedo.
near Orlando.
Okay.
And
Nice.
where are you located?
I'm like dead center of the United States in Edmond, Oklahoma, where today it's nice and muggy. We get a lot. Oklahoma has so much heat, and of course,
Really?
oh my gosh.
I thought Florida was like the humidity central of
No, I mean,
but yeah.
yesterday it was 92, and it had the feels like 102
Yeah.
temperature. It was miserable. Yeah.
Gotcha.
In fact, a few years ago, we had a summer where we were 100 days over 100 degrees every day.
Wow.
And yeah, I stopped watering my lawn because, I'm kind of an environmentalist and I don't believe in wasting water just so that my property
Right.
looks good. Plus, I
Yeah.
didn't have to mow that summer, which was awesome.
That's always a bonus.
It was
Less work. Yeah.
it was a plus. So, I just want everybody to know that we are medical professionals. I was an X-ray tech for many, many years. I sold for some very big major companies, surgical C-arm, CT, MRI. This show is about advice and information, not necessarily medical, diagnostic, what you should do information.
Right.
Um, both of us are, we were registered in our particular profession, but neither are registered now, but we have combined a wealth of knowledge over the years. And a little bit about how this show came about was Sarah and I met on Arachnoiditis Every Day. And through some sort of communicative,
The power of
well,
God brought
I
us together, or some source. Yeah.
we clicked, we shared information, and I had been wanting to do this podcast forever. And when I brought it up, it was like sparks flew, and here we are. Maybe just a few weeks later, which is awesome. And we are here to be advocates, and we want to make a difference and give you some life advice and certainly advice on how to navigate this from the start of your journey because it is very, very difficult at the start. Uh,
Very. Yeah.
yeah. So, which is why we're doing this first episode. It's called Pain is Personal, because it's not the same for everybody. It is so individualized. And I think that that is overlooked. We are a recipe to physicians that we go see. It's, oh, gabapentin is almost the first thing on the chart, right? And
Yeah.
then here it comes, this drug, that drug, the other drug, and pretty soon it's a list. And I'm going to be very open, and I hope I don't get a lot of haters when I say this, but I was on every drug imaginable. I was a zombie husband. I was a zombie dad. And I took myself off of all those drugs at one time against medical advice. I could have died. Now I don't take anything with the exception of prednisone, 20 milligrams. I take that ahead of storms because we all know how storms affect us.
Yeah.
And that was at the advice of my physician. He's like, why don't you just power up ahead of time instead of waiting for the pain to happen? Because those are I have three types of days, and I think we all have three types of days: good days, bad days, and survival days, the days
Yeah.
that we don't look forward to. So, Sarah,
Right.
what kind of day are you having today?
Mm. Today for me, I think would be semi good day, semi survival day.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's somewhere in between there.
we can
I'm
have a
coming
halfway
out of a
point.
flare, so yeah, I'm
Yeah,
still on the backside of it, but
you've been on that flare for quite a while, haven't
yeah,
you?
mid-March. So this is the longest flare I have ever had in the last 16 years. And after looking back at everything, I do believe it has to do with me being forced tapered off of my medications that I was on for 15 years with my old pain management doctor. And we'll talk about that at some point in time. But yeah, so abruptly, though, he was either fired or quit. Nobody seems to know. Nobody's given me any info. But I did about 30 pain management consults thereafter. And we'll just say nobody would help me. Not one doctor would help me. And it was to the point that I had to break it down to a doctor like this. I am literally going to die. Like, you guys can't take me from, this protocol to nothing. And that will be your liability. Like, if something happens to me, it's your liability. And so I finally had one pain management agree to give me a third of my dose, in which I take methadone because I have a DNA mutation, which it's still a good pain option for a lot of patients. But anyhow, so I attribute this terrible flare that I'm into to being tapered off or abruptly stopped on all those medications, unfortunately. So my next steps with that is to see Dr. Hannah in Clearwater and try to do this ketamine infusion therapy, which is a lot like if you guys have seen the Netflix movie, Take Care, Megan. So she has CRPS, and with that, they talk a lot about it in there, like a ketamine coma, but it's literally to help restart your nervous system because this condition is a neuroinflammatory condition. And so our nervous system doesn't have, the ability to calm down and rest like, the other patients without these type of conditions. So anyhow, I know I ranted on about it, but I
No,
took that opportunity to talk. No, you go ahead. Sorry.
you're 100% fine. And I think, kind of circling back to that whole neuroinflammation, we all know that sleeping is healing, right? I mean, your
Absolutely. Yeah.
body re-energizes overnight.
Yeah.
But one of the common problems with this, and I suffered with it last night. In fact, I didn't get up until almost 1 p.m. today.
Yeah. Right.
Sleep is so difficult when you're in pain because it just won't stop. I have
Right.
nothing that I can take. I take melatonin to try to help me get to sleep. I
Yeah.
take I forget exactly what the triazidone or something along that line for a sleeping pill.
Right.
And all that does is makes me a danger to myself if I wake up in the night.
Yeah.
I'm so out of it. I'm so wobbly. Drugs just have such a different effect on me.
Yeah.
And, I said before I stopped the opioids. And the ironic thing was, and where I think you're at right now when I quit, because I can totally relate, you're still in withdrawals. Your body is still in
Oh,
with,
I'm sure. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
And when I quit, I had so much back pain before I quit my medication. And what I found out months and months later, because I was in withdrawals for almost a year and a half.
Yeah.
I was on Valium, I was on gabapentin, 1,800 milligrams a day, buprenorphine, at one point, what was it? Lortab, Percocet. I mean, go down the list, right?
Right. Any of the above,
Check,
right?
check, check. Yeah.
Right.
So I quit all that stuff and found out that, I was still in pain when I was taking it. Same
Sure.
pain that I'm in now. So it wasn't doing anything for me. But what was happening was between my doses, I was having what I call micro withdrawals that
Hmm.
was causing my back pain because when you go through withdrawals, it feels like your body is like in a black hole. It's just sucking itself inside. All that pain is internalized. And once I got clear of all that, I found a new life but it was still life in pain. I
Sure.
mean, I don't have anything that will even, well, medical marijuana, of course. But even that, all that does is what I consider pain is like a spike, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And what that does is it rounds off the spike, it rounds
Right.
off the sharp.
Right. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
kind
it just takes an edge off. It's not, even my pain medication, the regimen I was on for 15 years, it's not like I was, all of a sudden in 0 out of 10 pain.
of,
No, I was still, in agony, but it takes the edge off enough, for me at least, that it allowed me to continue to function to some extent. I still have limitations no matter what, but so, and that's what we really want to advocate for patients. Everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to need different protocols and different meds. And it's not just one medication. They need a multitude of not just meds, but therapies to
yeah,
try to alleviate their pain. And unfortunately, well, in the old days, it was everybody was just getting thrown opiates. I hate to say it like that, without any therapies. But now it's almost like everything is stopped. They don't want to give you opiates or, well, half the time the therapies aren't covered because we're disabled. So, Medicare doesn't cover a lot of the therapies that we need. So
yeah.
that's
Oh, hey, by the
different.
way, I just got a warning on my Zoom that I'm running out of time. So
Oh no.
I know
Okay. That was
we
fast. Okay.
we'll this might be the shortest podcast episode for us ever,
You're
but I
right.
still think it's good. So
Right.
when it hits, it told me I can upgrade, but I don't have my credit card next to me. So
No, it's fine. We can always roll another one or
yeah,
we can
yeah.
whatever.
But anyway, yeah, the journey is really what it's all about, and the path that we can put somebody new to this disease on is kind of our focus to be an advocate for them.
Right.
And I sent you that note that said advocate ambassador. And I like that term because essentially that means that we can represent all kinds of diseases, right?
Yeah,
And be an advocate for them. We won't
absolutely.
discriminate. Uh,
No, we're
I
here for
mean,
anybody that has, chronic pain, caregivers that want to learn more, anyone that is looking for information because, it's not just us suffering. There's too many people suffering.
yeah.
So,
And I got my hair cut the other day,
it
looking
looks fabulous.
great.
Fabulous.
Thank you. And the lady that cut my hair, a young woman that cut my hair, I walked in, she goes, "Hey, I know you." She'd seen my story on the internet, which we will get to in our next episode. And then we'll do yours. We flipped a coin and I won. So it was not me being the gentleman first,
Right.
right?
Right. No, not at all.
Yeah. She has MS and
Mm.
MS and lupus, and what's the other one? The with the ticks. Um, anyway,
With the ticks.
yeah,
Hmm.
the chick, hey Chase, that's where we need our producer.
Hey, where are you at, producer? Right. Um,
Yeah, it's
you're talking maybe about Parkinson's
no,
or no. You're
there's a
talking
tick
about actual.
a tick disease, yeah, that you get bit by a tick and
Oh, Lyme disease. I
Lyme disease, yeah.
thought you were talking about the symptoms, like they have
Oh
tick,
no, no, no.
you know.
So yeah,
Anyway.
all very similar.
Oh,
Um,
right. Yes.
all prone to flare-ups, which, I didn't know what a flare-up was until it had happened so many times, and then I went and researched it. But when I got diagnosed in 2014, you could go on the internet and maybe find a few
Yeah.
dozen pages about arachnoiditis. Now
Right.
it's everywhere. We have Facebook groups. And one thing I want to bring up, and this I will encourage everybody to look this up, is a magazine called Brain and Life.
Okay.
It's from the American Academy of Neurology, which we are highly connected with, obviously. And the funny thing is, I got a magazine the other day. I opened it up yesterday or the day before when we've been trying to do this podcast for like 3 days now, and we both had issues.
Right. I mean, this is life with arachnoiditis. It's not just,
Exactly.
it's a real life. So,
So, the magazine that I got had an article called "Making a Difference," and there's a couple of things that I want to quote off of this before we run out of time here. Um, It says it starts off the diagnosis of a chronic neurological condition can be life-changing in many ways. So true. For some, it inspires them to become advocates for causes related to their disorder. And that resonated with me because of what we're trying to do. I mean,
That is exactly what we're doing, right?
how
Trying to,
profound.
yeah,
And then it goes on to say chronic neurologic illness is a severe stressor. Duh. It's common for people with chronic neurologic conditions to experience a profound sense of sadness and loss over their old life and healthy life. And I relate to that so much, as do many other people. Uh,
yeah. How could you not? I mean,
exactly.
so all the stages of grieving, but you're still you're still here. So
Yeah.
it's
So
a hard concept.
our point here is to make a positive impact, not just talk about all the negative, because you can go onto the website or onto Facebook and any one of the groups, and it's like it can pull you down like a boat anchor. I mean, you feel so sad for so many of those people. But my whole purpose in life, I think, is positivity. I've been through hell and back, and I will tell you my story from start to finish, and I guarantee you it's a Disney movie just waiting to be written. Um, but I don't succumb to it. I rise above it because it's my choice to rise above it. And
Right.
I think we all have that choice. You can succumb to the pressure of the pain. And I mean, I'm recently divorced. How painful is that, right? I think a lot of it has to do with my disease. And you know what? I'm still good friends with my ex-wife. We still have very pleasant conversations about our kids that we share. I've outstretched my hand to her new husband and I said, "Hey, you're part of my family now. I want to get to know you." That's a
Yeah.
choice.
Good for you. Right. That
Mhm.
it is a choice, and that's wonderful,
Yeah. So, one of the things that I think that we've talked about is we want to get in front of Congress and advocate for changes to the way that they view us. We're not drug addicts. We're not losers on disability. We're still productive. I mean, Stephen Hawking's was had a body that didn't work, but his mind was brilliant, and he
Yep.
continued to write books, right? So we are still productive members of society. We want them to know that instead of just seeing us as a liability. And one of the things or one of the weeks that I think we need to focus on is it's called Rare Disease Week. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's
When's
Rare
that?
Disease Week in Washington. And that's where
Okay.
all these people come in as advocates for these diseases. And I think the next one is like next February.
February. Okay.
Yeah, that's our goal. If there's any way that we can monetize this podcast to help pay our way there, great. If not, I think maybe we can do a Patreon and see if anybody would be willing to support us and
Sure.
get us there. Because I mean, we are on opposite ends of the spectrum. You need medication to function. I have toughened myself up internally throughout my life to be able to withstand the pain that I'm in. But to know my story is to know that I should be in a world of pain, which I am. I just have a way of turning it off because it kind of goes back to my endurance athlete years. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to suffer to get through some of the sports that I was in. And if you couldn't do it, you succumb to it. You hit the broom wagon and you're done.
Yeah,
So
you're done. Right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely understand that. I just wanted to make two just real quick points also for everybody to follow along with Dr. Tennant's protocols and his foundation. Of course, we support that. And then also Doc Talks, if anybody doesn't already know that that exists, because honestly, I just recently found that podcast, which is on YouTube. It's really easy to find, but I did not know for all these years. It's been up and going since 2022. So it doesn't have a lot of viewers, but if you think you have arachnoiditis and or one of these other conditions that relates to it, and also they talk about what's actually going on in this so-called opiate crisis. So that bring a lot of insight for everyone. And then also the national campaign to protect people in pain. So that's one big initiative that they're working on right now. And that should be important to every one of us suffering in pain or, a caregiver for a patient that's suffering in pain. So Um, the other thing is the doctor-patient forum, which is fighting for patients' pain rights. So those are just my three uh, groups that I follow and support right now. And I think they'll bring a lot of, insight for any patient that's suffering in pain or family that is trying to understand what is actually going on. So,
100%. Yeah. So, if anybody wants to reach out to us, we have, you can reach out at arachnoiditisunlimited@gmail.com, all runs together. Arachnoiditis unlimited or
filtered.
unlimited.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Right.
But
No, well,
that,
the thing is, we've been back and forth with the name over and over.
I know.
So just like we wanted to call it kind of like chronic pain, but the thing is, we want to also do data collection for arachnoiditis because we need that research and the funding. And the only way we can do that is if we kind of focus on one condition. But with that being said, we're not limiting anybody else by any means. If you have chronic pain, intractable pain, this is, the place for you. But it's just funny because